Okay, we're at the last, I think the 6th or the 7th year in a row, done on one day in Rosh Chodesh, because we, as your previous Shurim, I gave you 10 or 15 minutes Shurim because I want to have in the records of Torah anytime, at least something with everything, Yom Kippur, and Sukkot, and Data Arba Minim, and then Hoshana Rabbah, and Shmini Atzeres, and Simchas Torah, and before this we started even Hallel, and now we did Bereishis, now we get to Noach. We're up to Noach, which is this week. Noach. What are we going to do? Noach in the first pasuk 3 times. How come? Because Noach saw 3 worlds. The one before the Mabul, the year of the life inside the table, and the year 300 years after the Mabul. He lived 900 years, and the Mabul started when he was 600 years old, because he started building the Mabul, the table, when he was 120 years before 600, 480. Took him 120 years by 600. He was 100. He was born, and 1056. When he was 600, it was 1656, and 120 years before 1656, he started building the table when he was 480. Now 100 years later, he was 600, and he lived to 900. So. 950, I think. Anyhow, so let's talk about Noach. He saw 3 worlds. The world pre-flood, 600 years of that. Then the 1 year in the table, because the Mabul started on the 17th day of Mar Cheshvan this month and ended the 27th, was exactly 1 year, because the lunar year plus 10 days is 365. And then he saw the new world for 300 years. And in that 300 years, at the end of that, in 1948, Abram was born. He knew Noach for a little bit. And the Dor HaFlogad and Sodom, they were all that period. They didn't learn too well from the Mabul. Dor HaFlogad was a revolution against God. International Society of Atheism. And then Sodom, wicked to each other, and Dor HaFlogad was wicked to Hashem. And this when Abram was born at that time. Anyhow, so Noach, he saw 3 worlds. Noach was the Ish Tzaddik, Tomim, perfect. Tzaddik in his action, Tomim in his thinking. Esel him as Halach Noach. Noach walked with Hashem. Now Noach was the son of Lemech. Lemech had a daughter, Naamah. He married his sister. Noach and his sister, Naamah. And he had 3 sons, Shem, Cham, and Yafes. Shem, Cham, and Yafes. Why do you mention like that? Shem, Cham, and Yafes. It happened to be late in the Sedra. Shem is the youngest. Why do you mention him first? Because we come from him. Semites. So there's Yosef and Yishmael. Shem, Cham, and Yafes. Yafes is the oldest. He's mentioned last because Achron, Chaviv. And he was better than Cham. 3 brothers. And each one born with a sister. Es Shem, Es Cham, Es Yafes. Which means each one had a sister. They married their sisters. So Noach saved the world. Him and his wife, Mr. and Mrs. Noach and Naamah, and the Shem, Cham, Yafes and their sisters, their wives. 8 people in a box. Not in a boat. It doesn't say Sfina or Aniyah. It says Teva, box. Ark. Why don't you say Sfina or Aniyah? You know why? A battleship is a boat, and so is a canoe. Both of them come to a point under the water. That keel comes to a point on the top of their surface is flat, like a battleship or any ship, and then it goes under it's like a triangle, upside down triangle, right? The table was just the opposite, flat on the surface and coming up like this. The most unseaworthy boat ever created. One wind, it's knocked over. Why would Hashem tell them to make an upside-down boat? A triangle, because the normal boat is the inverted triangle. Flat on the top of the boat is wide, and it comes down. That's how it goes through the sea. That's upside-down triangle. Why does Hashem tell Noach to make a right-side triangle, which is the worst kind of boat? First of all, you have to know, Hashem says, you do it my way, you survive, otherwise you won't. Don't worry about it. That's the way I want it. Besides, Noach didn't have a dry dock. Where he's going to make a boat like this? How? So he made it. One of the miracles, it's an upside down boat. And some say the second miracle was he was supposed to coat it from outside and inside with tar, hermetically sealed. No air exchange. No oxygen coming in. So all the animals in the world, in Noah, after one day, everybody should be asphyxiated, dead. How come they live for a year? Second nace. How come the food didn't rot? Ooh, third nace. And no animals mated with each other, nor did Adam and Chava and their children. That's another nace. Interesting, huh? So there's many nisim. Hashem said, about Noach, you do it my way, you survive, otherwise you won't survive. Then there's another question. It says that the bottom was 50 amas wide, and it was long, 300 amas, and it was 30 amas high. 50 amas like 100 feet, 300 amas like 600 feet, 30 amas like 60 feet, and that was the size of the thing. And it had, the roof came up, and it stopped within an amma, which is 2 feet on top. That was the skylight, so high. So high, like Zohar, light. So it's really an isosceles triangle or isosceles trapezoid. How long were the sides? Well, here you have a triangle. We're not talking about volume, we're talking about area, like this. How do you find out how long the sides were? You know about Pythagorean's formula? Take half of the floor space, which is till you get to the center. Then you go up. That's a right triangle. A squared, B squared is altitude, C squared is the hypotenuse of a triangle. And since it was isosceles triangle, this side and this side were the same. So it comes out, if you take 50, let's make it feet. 100 amas, 50 amas is 100 feet. 50 is half squared, plus altitude squared, which is 60 feet squared, with feet. Go with 100 feet is 50 squared, and 60 squared, and you get the altitude, the hypotenuse of a right triangle, which is the diagonal of a square. That would be 71 feet. And there was 100 feet by 71 by 100 feet by 71. And on top, they say it was 1 amma, 2 feet. All right. Anyhow, that contained every single creature in the world except fish. They were not destroyed. They went to they survived the marvel. They went to the depth of the ocean. Toch Yam Okuyunis. There's only one ocean in the world. It's called Yam Okuyunis, the oceans. They went to the bottom because the water was boiling hot and acid and caustic and acidic. They went to the middle of the ocean and they stayed there for a year. And it was cool down there, and they survived. How come the fish weren't wiped out? Why every animal, bird, and chaya, and worm, and tiger, and lion, and every tree, even 3 tefachim off the earth, kol hatahom, even 3 tefachim, 11 inches of earth, of matter was destroyed. Matter cannot be destroyed except converted into a different form, but Hashem created matter from nothing, therefore you can destroy it. Even because, you know why? The peoples robbed from each other, and they buried the stuff in the ground, lower than 3 tefachim, so the neighbor couldn't bring his dog and smell where his stuff is. So 3 animals off the earth was destroyed. Every animal was destroyed except fish. You know why? Because all animals that breathe air, like tigers, lions, and snakes, and birds, and cows, and horses, and sheep, they breathe air. They're animals. They live in our world. We corrupted, our human beings corrupted themselves, became mutants and perverts and mushchosim, and they breathed that air. They got affected. They started to mix chayas with behemoths with chayas, the hora with tumeya, and all kind of interbreeding and mutants. Hashem had to destroy all of them. But fish don't breathe air directly. It goes through their gills. So therefore they didn't share our world. Therefore they were not destroyed. Therefore they didn't turn corrupt. Therefore, they don't need shechita. You can eat it without shechita, but the animal needs shechita. That's a tikkun. And we can't eat animal blood, but you can eat fish blood. We can eat their blood because they don't need shechita and dam is mutter, because they didn't become corrupted. So, Shem destroyed the whole world after 1656 years. Now, let's take a look. Today's Wednesday, so we learn Rabbi in Noach. Yidaber Lekim el Noach. Yidaber Lekim, 2 meters hadin. Now the water, was raining for 40 days, and it was 150 days where the ground, Mayanos, burst open, and the Rubas Hashemayim, whatever that is, outer space water came down, and the underground springs of water, the water table underground, there's oceans of water under the earth. And that sprung up after 40 days of rain. Then 150 days of this other thing, 190 days. So Hashem said to Noach, in the beginning, Kates kol boso, the end of all flesh has come before me. I'm going to wipe them out in Kates Yomim. Kuf, sorry, 190 days. So 4150 is 190. That's about half a year. 6 times 30, 180. About a half a year the water came up. And it went up higher than the highest mountain in the world. So let us say Mount Everest was around then. And Mount Everest is 6 miles high, 30,000 feet. So it was 30,000 feet high. And it was 15 amas higher than 30,000 feet. You know why? Because the table had to float all around. And the table was 1/3 sunk in the water. Because Rashi says everything that floats is about 1/3 sunk in the water. I'm talking about a piece of foam. Wood is sunk 1/3 because it's there's a certain form that's density is about 1/3 of water. So it's 1/3. So if the table was 30 amas high, each floor was 10 amas. The bottom, the middle, 30 amas. So part of the bottom floor was underwater. So it means 1/3 of the whole table, the whole bottom floor was underwater because 30 amas, a third is about 10 amas, so the whole bottom floor is underwater. How could it be? They had, on the bottom floor, they had the food and the manure. The second floor was the animals. The third floor was human beings. Millions of animals on the second floor, 8 people on the top floor. So, how could 1/3 of the table, 1/3 of 30 amas, which is how could it be underwater? So they want to say no. He made another structure below 30 amas. That was 11 amas. Rashi says it was this box, the table, ark, a box. Oh, by the way, I want to tell you something about box. Why it's a box, not a sphino. Table is a box because it had a rectangular thing. It was a box. It was not. Didn't have like a boat, regular. It was a table, a box. It had a flat bottom, rectangular bottom, and a table is a box. And a table is a word. You pronounce a word with your lashon, tongue. Lamed shin nun. That's how big the table was. 30 shin length and lashon 50 wide. Anyhow, it was 11 amas. It says Rashi is submerged in the water. So if you take 30 plus 11, 41. So a third of 3 times 41 is about 13 amas. But if it's really only 30 amas, and a 10 of 30 is, a third of 30 is 10, comes out about 11 amas. 11 amas, between 10 and 13 is about 11 amas. 11 amas sunk in the mud, and when he made it, then it floated up. And it had to be higher than the highest mountain. Now, 11 amas plus 3 more amas, 4 amas, 15 amas. The water was higher than the highest mountain, so 11 amas. And 3 amas, 11 amas, and down, and that's right, and a few more amas, 3 or 4 amas more, it's 15, so it can pass across the top of the highest mountain. Just why airplanes today have to fly 35,000 feet, because that's a rule for all airlines, because the highest mountain is Everest, and that's 30,000 feet, and you want to be sure the plane doesn't go too low, so they make it go 35 or 37,000 feet, altitude minimum. Anyhow, so the water went up in 6 months, 30,000 feet. If you work it out, it's 158 feet a day. And then it had to come down in 6 months because they got out of the table a year later. About a year later, they got out, about 6 months. It had to go down. In 170 days, it was a little less than 180. And that's 175 feet a day down. My father brings down in the Sefer, if the world was flooded and the earth was super saturated, it should take 20 years. The water was higher than Everest. 6 miles high, had to take 20 years to go down. Because coming up, there's no blockage, it's just airspace. The rain could come. Or going down, there's water below the water, and below the water is the earth. And there's just so much saturation. It was going down was a bigger days than coming up. 175, I think 158 feet a day going up, and 175 feet going down. That's a bigger days than the water coming up. because it had to be gone by 12 months. It had to be bone dry. That's a bigger nace than the rain of 158 feet a day. That was bigger than that. It should take 20 years to go down. 30,000 feet of water all over the world. All right. Let me tell you one other thing. So this is Midas Adin. He said after 12 months, get out of the table. Yidaber Lakim El Noach Leimot. Same in the table. Go out of the table. This is Rabbi in Noach. Aktov Ishtachah, you and your wife, Ubanecha, your children, L'Sheibenecha, and the wives of your children eat up with you. You and your wife. Going into the tables, you and your sons. And the women with themselves and the men with themselves. No mating is permissible. Because the whole world is something you can't enjoy yourself. But going out when everything's finished already, the world's been, all the wicked, everybody's been wiped out, then you can remake. That's why it says, Ato be'ishtecha, you and your wife. Ubanecha, this is a code language, means you're now allowed to resume normal relations. So go out of the table. Kol chaya and all the creatures, chaya, living creatures, didn't say basar. Even those creatures that have no basar, like shadim, microbes, shadim, asher itcha b'chol basar, even animals that have flesh, like animals and birds, the oath and birds by the hemom, b'chol aram is anything that creeps. Aram is alahar, is frogs and snakes and everything like that, and weasels and mice. Alahar Hotziot Itok have to come out with you. The shards of ours, let them swarm and procreate on the earth. The part of a they have to increase and multiply. Al Horas V'Yetze Noach Yodoch went out. Ubanav and his sons. Men and men together. I saw this permissible. Hashem said, you and your wife. They were so busy. So Rashi said they were so busy feeding the animals till the last minute. They got used to being alone from the women. So the men stayed with the men. V'Yetze Noach Ubanav V'Ishto. They say, and his wife and his daughters-in-law. Ito with him went out, so they still were separated because they were so used to taking care of the animals. Because if you don't feed the animals at the right time, they bite you, they kick and they bang. They had to feed some animals at night and some during the day. Remember, it's only 8 people. They had to feed all the animals the right kind of food at the right time. Otherwise, they'll make a riot over there. So they were so used to that they forgot about even their wives. Everything that creeps on the ground. The Mishnah was saying to their families, animals have families? Yes, only those animals came to Noah. By the way, they came automatically. Those who didn't intermate, didn't have mutants, didn't have mixed breed, animals that stayed with their mate and didn't mix animals with chayas, and chayas with animals, and birds with animals, and animals with birds, and none of them had relations with men, and men with animals. These are purebreds. They ate pure breed. That's why they were saved in the table. And during the year in the table, they didn't mate. And afterwards, they stayed noble. And mishpachosom, they stayed without mixed breeding. The mishpachosom Yosef in the table went from the table. So he says, go out, say, but he didn't want to go out. Noah. Animals didn't want to go out. It's a great life. No predators, and you get your fed. No one wants to go out. So he had to force them out. Hod say. If they don't want to go out, he told Noach, force them out. Finally, they went out, Noach, Abanov, and his sons, and the wife, and the daughters-in-law, Cholachai, and every creature, in that table. Even Noach, Mizbeach Lashem, he built a Mizbeach to God, and thank God. He got me called up Behemoth, took all the Behemoth Torah. That would be one day Tahar to Klal Yisrael. From here he learned that Noach learned Torah, because he knew which animals would be Tahar and which is not. Even Noach Mizbeach, he built. Didn't say Ba'asa, he made. But even Bino, he understood. You have to thank God when something good happens to you. You have to thank God when anything in life happens to you good. But even Noach Mizbeach Hashem, the Yikaf he took. Mikol Abahemo had heard of all the pure animals. Mikol Of had Torah and all the kosher animals. Vial Olas Mizbeach, he put the carbon Olam Mizbeach and burnt it up completely. To eat a carbon was never in the imagination of a human being to eat a carbon, never. Until Hashem said in Mitzrayim, eat the carbon Pesach or Yechayv Kodesh. That you are godly, that's innovation only for Klal Yisrael. You must eat carbon Pesach, otherwise Yechayv Kodesh. Some say you have to be makif to carbon Pesach, Yechayv, you don't. And not eating it is over mitzvah, positive mitzvah. But not bringing carbon Pesach is Kodesh. And you have to eat it. Otherwise, you have a batal mitzvah say, "V'chaltos aposach." You have to eat it. A human being eats a carbon, yeah, because you're like God. If you listen to what God tells you, you're godly. Because you don't use your own free choice. You listen to Hashem what He tells you. You have chosen to follow Hashem. That's free choice. So therefore, only the first time any human being ever ate a korban is Korban Pesach. Not Adam, not Noach, not Adam, Abraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov. Never, all Olos, never Zvachim. Korban Pesach was Zebach. But Yorach Hashem is Reach, and God smelled it, the good smell. It means V'kabil. He accepted it. He understood that Noach was appreciative. No, but Yom Hashem, El Libo, God said to his heart, to himself, I'm never going to destroy the world again. That's one opinion. Others said, Yom Hashem, El Libo, he spoke to Noach's heart, which means Noach was a Navi. Well, God spoke to David. David's not a Navi. A Navi is only when you do Niv Sephosayim, you speak to God. When you have a dialogue, you're a Navi. If you just have a one-way thing, you already have Ruach HaKodesh. Abraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, they talk to God, they were in being. But when Hashem speaks to you, like David or Shlomo, they're in the being. They have Ruach HaKodesh. When you speak to God, Niv, you're a speaker. So it's a big machlokas was David and Noach a Navi. Some say yes. And in fact, that God speaks to you directly, personally, that makes you a Navi. So there's machlokas of Noach was a Navi. I spoke to his heart, Lo Osip, I will never again, Lekalo Od Eso Adam, I'll never curse the ground again. Because man is so rotten. Because man is wicked from his youth. Ra. But Lo Osip, and number 2, Lo Osip Od Lahakos is Hachai, I'm not going to destroy all living creatures, Kashiel Sisi. And number 3, Od, also Kol Yemei Ha'or, as all the days of the earth, Zera, whether it's seeding time, which takes 2 months, and Kutzir, harvest, which takes 2 months, the Kor, in winter, which takes 2 months, the Chom, it takes 2 months, the heat, the Kayitz, the spring, the Chorv is winter, 2 months, so you have 1, 2, 3, 6 times 2 is 12 months. I'm never going to destroy the world again. I'm going to have hot and cold night and day and seasons. Yom B'layla, Yom, day and night, Lo Yishbos will never cease. During the Mabul, there was no day and night. The sun was shining over Noach's table 12 months. So it says, Lo Shimsha Hamazolos, the constellation didn't work. They didn't rotate. But it was there, because otherwise, why would Noach need where is he going to get the light from? The Zohar, skylight's only for the sun. So the sun was shining 24 hours a day. So you have to say that he made it Zohar on the top and also on the floor, for the 3rd floor down below. Otherwise, how can you see where the food is and the animals and everything? The 2nd floor was the animals. They would put the manure downstairs, and to get the food, you have to have lights. They had on each floor, top and the 2nd floor, they had a Zohar. Zohar skylight, from the word Zohar, light. So the sun had to be shining 24 hours a day. No Shimsham Azolos, the planets didn't rotate. That means they were not working right. It doesn't turn, they weren't that turned off. If you have an automobile, and it doesn't drive anywhere, it's not working. Yeah, it's sitting there, but it's not driving. Not an automobile, you can't go from here to there. If you're a person who can't walk, you're not working. Lo shimsham, but the legs don't work, so you're not a full-fledged human being. The sun was stuck, but it wasn't shimsham. It didn't go through everything in nature rotates. Every single thing in nature moves. And a circular or oval revolutions. Every cell in your body is moving. All the electrons and protons are moving. Everything in life that is living is moving. When you die, rigor mortis settles and nothing moves. That's called death. So Loshim Shamazolos means they didn't do their normal function, but they were there, but they didn't work. Therefore, there's no rotation of the sun. It was 24 hours a day light. Therefore, there was no time. Because if you don't have night and day, you have no time. That's why it says Noah came out of the table in the 600th year of Noah's life. What does it say that? With 601st year, it doesn't say the life of Noah. He came out of the table because he went in at 600. Shnas Sheish Meos the Echad doesn't say the Chai Noach, which means it was 1 year old, but he didn't age. That's why he lived 350 years after the Mabul, and the Mabul was when he was 600, so that would be 950. Where's the 1 year? Answer is that he was aged. The world was he lived 350 years after the Mabul, but he wasn't aged more than 950, not 951. Anyhow, so it says 3 times Hashem. You know, but Hashem. Even though from there Hashem, Vayorach Hashem, Esrechenecha, Vayom Hashem 3 times. You know why? Because 3 things like Hashem promised not to do. Not to curse the earth anymore, not to kill mankind, and also not to stop day and night in seasons. Rabbi said we're finished. The setting of Noach. If you want to have more, every single day, go to Kol HaLashon. I got 2,280 Shurim ready, every single day. A Rishon, Sunday, Monday, Sheni, all the way. Motzi Shabbos, a Shvi'i. So that's what we do every Aliyah very carefully. Zay Gezun, Rabbi Zay, have a good year.